You'll cue me when. RCM&D's Regatta is a different kind of fundraiser. RCM&D is a leading independent risk management, insurance, and employee benefits firm, and their committee for this event dedicates themselves throughout the year to promote awareness of their beneficiaries and to commit corporate sponsors and individual contributors to arrange a variety of fundraisers and plan this regatta. Sponsors and individual contributors are invited to today's waterfront celebration. They'll get to learn how to sail thanks to the Downtown Sailing Center coaches, participate in the race, and meet the beneficiaries who they serve. We bring you all of this live from Baltimore's Inner Harbor. Right at this very moment, the newest wave of sailors are prepping their vessels, swarming the starting area while festivities and food and drink are being enjoyed under the Baltimore Museum of Industry Pavilion. This is the 24th annual regatta, and this year is record-breaking. They've raised over $89,000 this year. 100% of it is split evenly amongst 4 charities that they choose each year. This year, the charities are Believe in Tomorrow, Children's Foundation, Sunshine Kids Foundation, Churchill Activities and Tutoring, and the Franciscan Center, a ministry of the Sisters of St. Francis of Assisi. In total, RCM&D, the outreach program there, they've reached 50 nonprofits from all over the Mid-Atlantic region, and they've almost $1 million. Hi, I'm Ashley Love from T2P TV. We have our whole crew out here to cover this live. Currently, all of the boats, there are 16 boats. There are 10 J22s and 6 sonars. They will all start together at the same time off of a starting line. The starting line is between 2 buoys. They will sail upwind to a mark, round that to port, come back down and finish. Very quick, very simple racing. It's some of these guys' first time ever on a sailboat. So they're learning the rules of the road. They're learning how to tack, how to jibe. We'll keep the spinnakers out of it for today. They'll have to return to the Downtown Sailing Center and learn a bit more so they can put up those spinnakers next time around. The start is a little bit delayed because we're waiting for one more boat to come out of the starting line, but when they do, it'll be a 3-minute sequence. 3 minutes, then 2, 1.5, 1, 30, 20, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. At that point, everyone will start over this finish line, starting line between the 2 orange marks. Score will be kept so that at the end we will know who has won the day. At that point, there will be an award ceremony on shore underneath that Downtown Sailing Center and Baltimore Museum of Industry Pavilion with prizes and trophies and fun and food for everyone. J22s and sonars are both typically sailed with anywhere between 3 and 5 people. Today, most of the boats have 4 people on board, and sonars and J22s are very similar boats. They're very equally matched. That's why starting them all together will work out perfectly. All of these boats are owned, maintained, and coached through the Downtown Sailing Center, and each boat has a representative from the Downtown Sailing Center that is coaching everyone on board. Everyone on board includes the sponsors and the beneficiaries for all of the fundraising that has been going on all year long. A lot of people see parallels between sailing and real life. There are so many metaphors that happen here. You have to come together as a team. You have to keep the boat moving forward. You have to keep it fast, but keep it efficient, but also take care of the people next to you. We actually have someone on board with us representing RCM&D today. She's on the committee and has been involved for many, 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 many years. This is Marissa Schott. Pardon me.
Yes.
Please tell me about your involvement with RCM&D.
Yes, so I've been with RCM&D for almost 15 years now.
Wow.
I've been on the Regatta committee for about 12. I also served as chairman of the Regatta for 6 years as well.
Wow, incredible. So what does it take to put all this together each year?
There's a lot of planning that goes into effect. It starts tomorrow, actually.
For the next year,
right?
right?
Next year,
For
yes.
2018.
So it's a year-round fundraising planning event. We have a great team at RCM&D that really pitches in and does whatever we need to do to pull this event together. Not just on event day, but everything leading up to that as well.
Wow, and this is a record-breaking year for you guys. Do you have
Yes.
sponsors that continuously come back year after year?
Yes, so this is an event that everybody comes in and says, well, I don't know, I've never sailed before, I'm not sure if that's something I want to do, and then they come and they love it. Whether they sail or they just take place with the festivities, it's a great day, and people come back year after year. And each year we say, okay, do we raise the goal or do we leave it where it is? And each year we just continue to raise more and more for our beneficiaries and give back to our community.
That's incredible. So tell me about these beneficiaries. How do you pick them each year, and how did you pick these this year?
So each year we receive over 50 applications from beneficiaries, and that's really the toughest part of this event.
Wow.
Is sitting and looking through the applications. We have a committee that does a preliminary review. We sit down, we sort through, and it's really a painful process to decide, who do we want to pick this year?
Sure.
And we then submit our recommendations onto our executive team, and then our executive team makes the final decision.
Okay, and is there any criteria, location, size?
There is criteria. RCM&D has different geographic areas, so we do look to try to find charities within each of our different geographic areas. So not just to have all 4 in Maryland, but we want to reach all of our offices and make the biggest impact that we can.
I see. So the sponsors, how does it determine how many sailors they get to send? How does that all work?
There's a monetary breakdown based upon what your donation is as to how many sailors you send with that. For the beneficiaries, we usually have 3 to 4 from each beneficiary on a boat.
That is great. And why, out of all of the sports and activities in the entire universe, why sailing?
Well, when we started this out years ago, well before my time, everybody said there's so many golf tournaments. You go to golf tournaments, you go to bull roast,
Sure.
you go to crab feasts. So
Sure.
This was something different, and it was actually just started internally, and our employees did it. They just said, well, what if we have a regatta and we just go out for fun and we enjoy ourselves? And that's what they did. And there were some internal bake sales, and employees donated money, and that's how the first regatta started. And it's just really blossomed from there, and it's continued.
Wow, that's incredible. So the beneficiaries are any of them local, or are they all from abroad this year?
Nope, we do have a local one this year. The Franciscan Center is local.
Great, so they didn't have a big commute to come here today.
They didn't have a big commute, no. And Sunshine Kids is one that touches various areas throughout the nation, so they also had a presence here. And they actually have a girl sailing today that's from Frederick, Maryland.
Oh,
so
great.
She's out on the boat today, and she's one of their beneficiaries, so it's very exciting.
Could you tell me a little bit more about Sunshine Kids?
I really can't tell you much. There is information in the Regatta program about each of the beneficiaries.
Okay. The first start is underway in 10 seconds or less. We have a blue sonar with Mike McNamara at this very end. We're going to call this the pin end, even though there is no race committee end. There's 2 pins. We'll call this the pin end. Hull number 5, the second boat from the pin end, is called OJ. The Downtown Sailing Center representative on this boat is Donna Kolikow. And on board, she has Mark Aronson, Jackie Byers, and Ben Cooper. They're representing Key Risk and Chesapeake Employers, 2 of the sponsors here today. Now, for all you sailors watching out there, this is a very tricky race course because we are surrounded by the city of Baltimore. It is literally enveloping us here. We have Johns Hopkins University and the hospital nearby. We have the Domino Sugar Company nearby, and actual big container ships that sail across the oceans. They all come in and dock right here. So the wind is trying to get through all of these buildings, and it's shifting all over the place. Hull number 5, the sonar, not the J22 hull number 5, but the sonar number 5 is doing very, very well so far. On board that boat, the Downtown Sailing representative is Nathan Wilson. And they have Believe in Tomorrow, one of our beneficiaries. All of their crew is from Believe in Tomorrow. We have Dana Gildersleeve, James Poisall, Chris Scheller, and Joanne Davis. The Downtown Sailing representative is up at the mast calling the shots and has a newbie at the helm. They're doing a fantastic job covering the fleet right now, keeping themselves between the fleet and the top mark. In second place as of right now is J22 bow number 3. The name of that boat is Jammin', and they are jamming right now. The Downtown Sailing Center representative is Graham Humphrey. And on board, he has Robert Hugh, Chris Russo, Kimberly Turner, and Sean Reuter. The first 3 from ABET, and Sean from Benefit Mall. This waterway that we're sailing in has a lot of action going on in it. We can hear some machinery going on. There's boats being lifted out. There's the container ships unloading. And there's even ferries and water taxis that go through this very area. So, unlike any other sport, could you imagine a football game where a dump truck decides to drive right through the field? No way. But in sailing, that is something that we deal with all the time. There are definitely some shots of wind coming down through all the buildings out here. They appear darker on the water. So what they're looking for on the sailboats is that darker patch of water so that they can sail in more wind and make the boat go faster. It's all a game of connecting the dots. The first leg of this race is an upwind leg. You can't sail a boat directly into the breeze. You have to tack back and forth like walking up steps. If you tried to sail directly into the wind, the sails would just luff. They just jiggle. They just sit right in the middle of the boat. So you have to tack back and forth and work your way up to the top mark. Sonar number 5 getting to the top mark first by a landslide. Their coach doing a fantastic job helping everyone sail this boat all by themselves with only instruction, verbal instruction from the coach. Now, Marissa, are you a sailor?
I'm not a sailor. I did sail 1 year.
Yeah?
I'm not a sailor.
Would you like to get back into it?
I would definitely go again. I've always taken part in planning the on-land festivities, so that's kind of been my role with this. So, but I'd definitely do it again. It's a lot of fun.
Good. We were just talking to Marissa about sailing. The whole video crew here, we're all big-time sailors. We love filming anything sailing, anything with a sail that floats, we're there. The rest of the fleet is starting to come around the top mark. J22, all the sonars and the 22s all getting to the mark at the same time. That really proves how equalized all of these boats are. Woo, close interaction with bow number 5 and sonar number 1. The question is, do you jibe right after the top mark, or do you extend? If you jibe, you run the risk of getting wind shadows from all of these boats coming up on starboard tack to the top ley line. But you could be headed to more wind. Sonar with the very cool Baltimore skyline on their mainsail. That boat is called Sugar. And their downtown sailing center representative, Tom Bowman, he has been with the Downtown Sailing Center since 1998. He pays his skipper dues every year and volunteers hundreds of hours teaching people how to sail and getting more people into this sport that we all love so much. On board with him, Jonathan Shan from Chat, Jackie Griggs from Chat, Mike Weber from RCM&D, and Lauren Sechrist from RT Specialty. And when I say Chat, that's an acronym for one of our beneficiaries, Churchill Activities and Tutoring. Churchill Activities and Tutoring, they provide aspiring youth in the East End of Richmond, Virginia, with a system of integrated programs that empower them to break cycles of poverty and reach their goals. They do this with after-school programs, Tiny Tykes, which is a faith-based, high-quality preschool open to all children living in Richmond East End. Churchill Academy, which is a Christian high school, and their Waitership Institute, they are equipping youth for employment today and tomorrow. The first sonar is crossing the finish line right now, arms raised in the air. That is definitely something to celebrate. Out of 16 boats out here on a very tricky race course, pulling a bullet, as we call it. We call it a bullet when you get a first. in sailing. Very impressive. It's very short out here. That race only took about maybe 10 minutes, not even. Very quick up and back. That'll be great. Short courses, lots of races. That'll give lots of people the opportunity to try out some tactics out here. The second wave of boats crossing the finish line with Jalapeno working their way in. Their downtown sailing center representative is Michael Greenwell. And on board, he has people from Pinnacle Safety Network, Mirtha Psoras and Lanasa, David Capel, George Psoras, and Francis Lansara. Now is where things get interesting when the middle of the fleet comes across the finish line. Lots of boats crossing at the same time. Hull number 9 is going to squeak through cleanly. Coco J, and right behind him a three-way battle. Who's going to take this one? Bow number 13, bow number 6, and bow number 1, all very close. Oh, that might be too close to tell, though. Hull number 13 thinks it was them. Their downtown sailing center rep is Anna Moutier, and they have all the Sunshine Kids on board with them. Brooks Toome, Eileen McCaster, Tony McCaster, and Natalie McCaster. I wonder if they're related. Sunshine Kids Foundation adds quality of life to children with cancer by providing them with positive group activities so they may once again do what kids are supposed to do: have fun and celebrate life. They do this with walks and runs all over the country and possess a 4-star charity rating from Charity Navigator. They have partnerships with hospitals and Kids Together for parties, events, and outings to the circus, Disney on Ice, and wonderful things like that. It doesn't cost them anything either. No cost for the kids, nationally. So that race has been completed, one race under our belts. At this time, everyone will sail around the starting area and prep for the next race. Talk about what happened in that one, decide if they want to change anything, or just celebrate getting around in one piece. Okay. Very exciting to watch all this going on. And we're just surrounded by Baltimore. That's what I love about this place. Container ships, factories, old wharfs turned into hotels. It is such a scenic spot. A lot of these downtown sailing center folks race all over Maryland and sometimes up and down the East Coast and nationally as well. They're all good racers and good coaches. So everyone is in great hands here today. So, Marissa, what's going on onshore while we're out here partying on the water?
Right now, there is an auction going on. You can buy raffle tickets, one for $1, $5, $10, and $20 for an arm's length.
Very
There's
nice.
also food and festivities. There's a magician on land right now.
Oh, really?
He's been with us for several years as well. He's kind of part of us, and everybody loves to see him. Make sure you check him out before you leave.
Yeah, I was looking at those raffle items. There were a few things in there that looked really exciting.
Yeah, some really good prizes.
Yep. And how will the party work once everyone gets back on shore?
Once everyone gets back on shore, they'll have some lunch, and there's a DJ going, just kind of relax for a little bit, and then we'll have an awards ceremony, and we'll give away the sailing awards, and then the most important part of the day is presenting the ceremonial checks to our beneficiaries.
Oh, yes. That's a big, do you get the big ones?
The big ones.
Oh, the ones that look really good in pictures, right?
Yes, exactly.
Those
you
are the
can't take them
best.
to the bank.
Oh, I was wondering about that. Can you just work your way into the door with one of those 8-foot checks? Here, and they aren't on the water. There's still plenty for them to do.
There's plenty to do. There's cornhole, DJ, participate in the raffles, and it's really a networking event as well. There's people from, different insurance companies. Everybody knows each other. This is a small industry, so everybody
Gotcha.
just gets to kind of network together and relax and have a good time.
How big is the committee and regatta committee to run this event?
The committee's about 20 people. It takes to plan the event. We also have a great group of employees that pitch in and help as we need them to as well. It really takes a bunch of people to put this event together.
Yeah. And is that your sole role at the company, or are you also?
No, we all have our regular day-to-day
Oh,
jobs
so this
as
is on
well.
top of that.
Right. We all volunteer to put this event together. We're very passionate about it.
Wow. Turning up the radio here just to see if we hear anything from race committee on how long between each race. But even when you're practicing around here between races, it's just time at the helm, time controlling the sails. Every second is very useful out here. And it seems like all of the downtown sailing center people are just coaching. They're really letting all of these sailors do it themselves. And that's the best way to learn. Throw them in, right?
That's exactly right.
It's how you learn a language. It's how you learn math. I mean, anything that you're learning, you want to dive in. We're going to take you back over to the Downtown Sailing Center docks.
All right.
Thank you so much for coming out with us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Filling us in on how this is all working. And
yes,
it seems like you've said you're very passionate about this. And but I also read that your outreach isn't just this regatta, that you guys do things all throughout the year.
Oh yes, throughout the year. We participate in many different charity events, and we also do lots of corporate volunteering as well, where we'll send departments out to different charities throughout our neighborhoods and volunteer. Whatever we can do to give back to the community.
That's amazing.
Yes.
What do you get out of it? Why do you do it?
I like to help other people.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big thing about the RCM&D family. It's not just me. Everybody likes to pitch in and help and just give back.
And it sounds like it fosters a community within your company as well.
Absolutely.
Because you get to spend time with each other away from the office and do things together.
Exactly.
Are you? Okay, as the second race nears its starting sequence, we have switched out our interviewee. We've passed off Marissa and we've gained Brian. Brian Morrison, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
I'm Ashley Love from T2VTV to remind you and to introduce myself to you. And tell us about yourself.
So I'm one of the charities, or the founder of one of the charities that's being presented with a check here today. And just really grateful to be here, very honored to be a part of it, and very excited about it. So the charity that I started is called the Believe in Tomorrow Children's Foundation.
And you were the founder.
I am. And
very
it
nice.
Started 35 years ago. And we provide hospital and respite housing to critically ill children and their families.
I see.
So throughout the Mid-Atlantic area, we've got 10 facilities. But right here in Baltimore, we've got a couple of really big ones. And we provide all of the housing for the Johns Hopkins Children's Center for the critical care children that they serve.
Wow.
So a lot of their cancer kids, transplant kids, and
okay, so they get to stay in these houses while they're being treated.
yes.
Okay, and their families too.
And their families too. So it really brings a degree of normalcy to the lives.
Sure, because
of,
it's not a cold place; it's a warm home.
Yeah, yeah, and we deal with families that their lives are anything but normal, going through the treatment of a catastrophic illness. So the more that you can kind of just bring a kind of a family, oriented atmosphere to them, it really is, what we're striving to do, and that's what our mission is.
Right, keeping families together has got to be good for everybody, not just the one being cared for.
Sure, you know what? It renews their spirits, it renews them mentally, physically, and kind of rejuvenates them, gives them energy to get through a very difficult time. So.
Wow. Yeah. And how did you come up with this idea? Have you been touched by cancer or your family?
No, I have not. I was pretty young at the time, and I was in my mid-20s, and I started volunteering, and was kind of very interested in looking at things that weren't currently being provided. And,
yes. That's how the best inventions come and the best ideas.
Yeah, and so I was fortunate to be in a place, I was working at the University of Maryland Shock Trauma Center at the time.
Okay.
And way back then, the cancer clinic had joined that Shock Trauma Center, so I get to see sick kids and their families and kind of got a first-hand experience of what they were going through and, kind of maybe what they needed to help them go through that journey a little bit easier.
Wow, fantastic. So what is the process for being included in RCM&D? Is this your first time being a beneficiary with them?
It is, and so, we're very honored about that. We're very excited about it, and we were nominated by several RCM&D employees who volunteer for us, and that's how that came about. Yeah. So.
Fantastic. So is there a specific program or a specific area where the dollars will be funneled towards?
It is. So one of our facilities is actually right off of the Inner Harbor here, and it's called the Believe in Tomorrow Children's House at St. Casimir. And that facility houses bone marrow transplant kids and their families.
Wow.
So these are, it's a really unique situation. They, right after their procedure, they've got to stay within a 15-minute radius of the hospital for 60 to 120 days.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a very lengthy period of time. I mean, you could live in Annapolis. Well, you could live in many places and be outside of that 15-minute range.
Right. That's very limited.
Sure. So you've got to relocate your life to here, and you've got to be close to the hospital in case there's a rejection. You've got to be back in the hospital quickly. So at St. Casimir, we've got in our courtyard, it's a beautiful building. It overlooks the marina down in Canton. But in the courtyard, we've got this serpentine old ramp that is our wheelchair ramp.
Oh, I see.
And we've been looking, desirous of a lift that can, get families up in a more efficient way, a friendlier way.
Right.
And create some courtyard space for us. And so this grant will put that lift in place.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
So today here on the water, do you have some of the some of your beneficiaries or some of your staff out here on the boats?
So we do. We've got some beneficiaries on shore, and we've got some staff out on one of the boats.
Oh,
and,
fantastic.
Yeah.
Let's look it up and see which boat they're on.
I know it's one with a blue hull.
Okay, so that would be a sonar. Here we go. Blue 15. It'll have it on the hull because there are no sail numbers.
Yeah.
So in the housing that you provide, do you have the staff that's there? They're maintaining the property. They're keeping the lights on. How does that work?
They're doing a bit of everything. So, we look at our facilities. A couple years ago, 10 years ago, we started looking to say, how can we go beyond just providing a clean room?
Sure.
And, kind of what our goal today is, it's very different today. And, our goal today is getting families who are in the midst of medical crisis an experience that they may never get in their life. And that really helps kind of them, it really kind of propels them through the treatment process. So, we want families to walk in the door and say, like, wow, we didn't expect this. So we've got kind of a Four Seasons hotel approach to housing.
Wow.
I mean, it's our staff really are there to be kind of concierge services to families. I mean, they provide everything from, meals to whatever family's need is that helps them cope with what they're going through. And so that's what our staff do. And it's kind of a fun job. It's a challenging job, but it's a very rewarding job.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
How would a family find you, or do you find them?
Families are referred to us directly through the hospital. And,
Okay.
So we work directly with hospitals. So hospital housing is just one part of what we do. Respite housing is a very big part and another part. And respite housing throughout the Mid-Atlantic area, generally in like beach or mountain-oriented areas. We provide houses and sometimes multi-unit condo facilities where families can go to kind of really get away.
And go on vacation,
vacation, de-stress.
An easier way to do that.
Yeah. And
Wow.
that's what we do. So we've got, in Ocean City, Maryland, we've got 3 units there, 3 different buildings that house 7 families at a time.
Wow.
In Deep Creek, we've got 2 right on the top of the mountain there.
Mm-hmm.
We've got one in Asheville, North Carolina, and one in up in Delaware on the ocean. And we're in the development stage of one in Florida. And so for the very same reasons that you or I go and get away. And I'm going to guess that, we either like the water or we like the mountains or we like both.
Right.
And we provide those opportunities to families. And with those families, they really come from throughout the country. One of the things we do is a lot with military pediatrics. And military pediatrics is something completely unseen by the average person. But the size of the U.S. military just means that statistically there are the same percentages of kids with cancer within that military grouping.
Of course.
And it truly means that there really are thousands of kids going through cancer treatments and other like transplant treatments. and we provide those services to them.
Wow, that is wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful news. The second race is about to begin back here at the RCM&D Regatta if you're just joining us. They're packing up at the boat end this time because hull number 5 that won the race pretty handedly last time started at this close end to us this time. So all the boats are learning and saying, hey, I want to be that boat this time. Boat number 4, Jalapeno, who I talked about before, getting a little pushed over the line early, but no matter. It's okay. It's just fun racing. Jolly Roger is directly behind them, hull number 7. Their downtown sailing center rep is Mark Rendley. And on board with him, he has Rodrigo Caldera and Joe Donnelly, both from CP&R, as well as Jeff Coleman from Travelers. Travelers is one of our top beneficiaries here. Or sorry, top sponsor here. Our top sponsors are RCM&D themselves. They put in so much time and effort and donate a lot to this regatta, along with Brown Advisory and Travelers, who I mentioned before. It's better under the umbrella. Hull number 10, flying up the right side of the course here, is Jazz. Downtown Sailing Center, Robert Daniel on board, with 3 crew members from Zurich, Andrew, Dan, and Regina, and 1 crew member from XL Catlin, Maria Klein. We aren't the only media out here. The photographer boat right here catching every moment as well. Hull number 1 tacking into the left side of the screen. J22, hull number 1, is Mark Seaborn from Downtown Sailing Center, with Tyler Jones and Jason No from the Hartford, Lynn Bickniece from Children's Hospital, and Lauren Bickniece from RCM&D. Oh, port starboard altercation. Hull number 5 has to tack over quickly to get onto starboard. Not only do they know how to tack and jibe, now they know some of the rules of the road. When 2 boats come close together, the boat that has the wind coming over the right side of the boat is on starboard, and a boat that has the wind coming over the left side of the boat first is on port. And port has to give way to starboard. That's how we keep everybody not colliding out here. This time, the left side of the course is really working out. J22, hull number 4, Jalapeno, who we saw winning that start, is also winning this first leg, flying up to that ley line on port. You can see the wind is coming over the left side of the boat before it's coming over the right. Hull number 10 and hull number 11 are close on their heels, trying to close that gap so that when they head downwind and the advantage goes to them, maybe they can make a pass. Coming into the mark, also on port, hull number 11 is named Jackrabbit. Their downtown sailing center rep is William Cleary. On board he has Meg Griffith, Kendrick McLeod, Bruce Carey, and Adam Meehan. They are from Eastern Alliance Insurance, Franklin and Prokopic, Serve Pro, and lastly, but not leastly, Smith and Downey. It is a very, very slim second because Michael McNamara, pushing out the boom here, wants to get some comeback after their mid-fleet finish last race. Now, Brian, have you ever sailed before?
You know what? I've sailed a couple of times, and it's never been a very good experience. But
no.
it was fun. But a couple of times I've been, and we've gotten kind of stranded without wind. And,
The weather kicked in.
Yeah.
That is something about this sport that maybe not a lot of other sports have to deal with. I mean, other sports, you're outdoors,
Right,
sure.
right.
You might have to deal if the sun goes away or something, but sailing is so dependent on the wind and the weather and the sea state.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it so enjoyable, I think, just
it is.
because
And,
it's so
I
different.
should rephrase that. It was a good experience, just not a productive experience in terms of gaining any speed and to go anywhere. So,
Sure. Well, would you do it again?
absolutely.
Given the opportunity?
I would love to, yeah.
The rest of the pack approaching the top mark. And hull number 1 is a little shy on that starboard ley line. They're just trying to pinch up around the top. Hull number 14 rolling right over top of them. Are they going to make it? Are they going to have to tack? Oh, they're going to coast right on over. That's something nice about the J22 and the Sonar both. They're heavy boats with a big keel, so you can really just stick them up into the wind and coast a little bit and make it around marks, just like that. That was great driving. So one thing I noticed about your story about having everyone having those respite homes is that more than one family can be there at one time, so they can get to know each other. There's camaraderie amongst families.
And you know what? That's a big part of it. They provide support to one another. And part of what we do is try to build facilities that allow multiple families to come together. And only, when you walk in someone else's shoes can you really, understand what they're going through. And that's what this is about. It's about bringing families into an environment that they find support, they find understanding, and they're able to breathe a little bit easier.
Right.
And, that's kind of what we do.
And that's sort of what today is about, too, is bringing people together from all across different walks of life, different beneficiaries, different sponsors to all know each other and get to know each other on a personal level outside of a piece of paper that you might have met each other on.
It sure is, isn't it? Every beneficiary out here has a great story, and they do great things, and
coming into the finish line is our boat that won that start. Close second is Jackrabbit, and a very close third, Michael McNamara's Blue. On board, Mike has Katie Capel from RCM&D. She is one of our organizers for today and has done a ton to put this regatta together. Kim Hirschfield from Hillcrest Nursery, Trey Warman from Chubb, and Mike King from Travelers. The top 4 were all very close together. There's a big gap to 5th. And it's going to be a battle. Hull number 3 and hull number 5. They had a battle. Hull number 3 is really getting in the mix with everything. They were in a battle last time at the finish line. They've got some speed on now. They've got it wrapped up. That's Jammin', Graham Humphrey, Robert Hogue, Chris Russo, Kimberly Turner, and Sean Reuter. 2 races in the bag at the RCM&D Regatta, where $89,000 was raised to be split between 4 beneficiaries and sponsors together, learning how to sail together and competing in some friendly racing together. We're right in the heart of Baltimore, in the Inner Harbor, right off the downtown Sailing Center docks. Celebrations and libations happening on shore under the Baltimore Museum of Industry Pavilion. We're between races now, so this is once again a time for everyone to maybe switch up who's doing which job. Maybe talk about how the last race went. See if they want to change their sides of the course and which way they want to go. Brian, thank you so much for coming out with us. We're going to come in and drop you off on the dock and switch out again. But what's on the calendar for you? What's in the news? What's going on next? What's your next move?
So, a lot of things are going on. We've got 2 houses under construction right now, another one in Deep Creek, and we're expanding our facilities down at the beach in Ocean City. And, that's all kind of exciting stuff. And then, of course, we're looking at Florida, and we're certainly keeping them in our prayers for this coming week. But
definitely are.
We're looking forward to having a respite there for families, and that's pretty exciting. So
that is great. And are you based here? What is your day-to-day like?
So I am. I'm just outside of Baltimore in Catonsville, Maryland, is where our main office is.
Mm-hmm. So you had a short commute too.
Very short commute.
Yeah.
And then we visit our facilities from time to time, but most of the time it's spent here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And is there a cost for the families?
No.
No.
It's all at no charge. Yeah.
Wow, that's the big news. That's wonderful. And does a lot of your funding come from sponsors, and where does your funding come from?
So you know what, it comes from sponsors, individuals. We're very blessed to have a very diverse funding group. Many individuals that just believe in what we do and support it, and we manage to kind of run our programs and expand them that way.
And are there any others like you, or are you one of a kind?
Well, I like to think of ourselves as one of a kind, and in many ways we are. With respite housing, there really is no one doing what we do.
Wow.
But there are other groups doing hospital housing, and and I congratulate every group that's doing something good for the communities we live in.
That's great. Thank you for coming out here and telling us about
Thank you so
Believe in
much
Tomorrow.
for having me. It was a great part of my day.
Good. Okay, we have dropped off one of our beneficiaries and picked up the man of the day, the man of the hour. Skip Councilman, you are the CEO
I am.
of RCM&D?
Chairman and CEO of RCM&D. It's nice to be out on the water. What a beautiful day.
Welcome
Thank
aboard.
you.
I'm Ashley Love from T2P TV for all of you out there watching live, and to introduce myself to you.
Well, it's great to be out here with you. What are we going to do today?
We're going to go and watch the third race. They've done 2 up to this point, and they're very short, quick races, which is great because everyone's getting another chance to choose their end of the starting line, choose their side of the course, and put all the skills that they practiced this morning to the test.
And we have 15 sailboats out here competing?
We have 16. One last-minute entry there. We had the Downtown Sailing Center rep. Each boat has one. Come in and they put up another sail, which is great. More the merrier. So we talked a little bit about RCM&D with Marissa during the first race, but from a starting this all perspective, how did this all evolve? What does it take to bring this all together?
Oh, wow. 24 years ago, one of my colleagues had this idea. She was a great sailor. She used to sail every week down here, right down here in the Inner Harbor, and she wanted to expand what she was doing and bring it into our office to some of my other colleagues and get them involved. So she started out by having a few of my colleagues join her on her Wednesday evening sails, maybe about 3 or 4 months during the nice weather. She'd be sailing every Wednesday night. So she got enough other people that created a critical mass of, hey, let's do this. Let's make this a company-wide event. So it was Eileen Roberts, and Eileen made it a company-wide event. And it was a small event by comparison when we first did it 24 years ago. But it's gotten big because everybody wants to take part now. And we figured out ways that people can take part on shore. And
yes.
still be connected to what's going on in
So
the water.
we just picked you up off of the dock,
Exactly.
enjoying the onshore activity. So what's going on there while we're out
Well,
here?
there's great food. There's
Yeah.
a tremendous buffet line with a lot of different things that everybody's enjoyed eating. There's beverages to go with it. There's a DJ playing music, kind of loud music. To be out here where it's quieter. So there's a lot of activity going on all the time, and they usually have face painting and balloons for the kids as well. So I didn't observe whether that was going on right now, but
Sure.
it'll be going on sometime.
It will be coming if it isn't already, right? So besides the fact that one of your RCM&D staff was a sailor, how did sailing become the avenue for getting everyone together? And
Well,
why? Why do you choose it?
Her successor, Eileen's successor, was Katie Capel, and Katie was one of the ones who became a regular Wednesday night sailor as well, like Eileen. And so as they broadened their group, as they were telling people what they do, what they like to do every Wednesday night, other people started to get interested. And so they started talking around the office that this is something that we could probably create a regatta. So the first few years, we just did it as a company picnic sort of thing. And then it occurred to them, this ought to be a fundraiser. We ought to bring other organizations into this and take it outside beyond the walls of RCM&D.
Right.
Even though it was down here on the water, still beyond the walls, by getting our insurance companies involved, getting many of our clients involved, getting not-for-profits involved. So they came up with the idea of how to broaden it. And as a result, now they're raising in excess of $90,000 a year for usually four different charities that split that $90,000, and they have events all year long. So it's not just
this event.
It's about a 9-month activity, quite frankly, and that therefore involves a lot of people. And so we typically have 100 at any one time. 100 people are involved. On race day, there's 280 people involved.
Wow.
So it's great.
So what's in it for you guys? What does this do for RCM&D?
Well, it's a fun thing to do. Everybody has a good time doing this. Nobody's required to do it. Unfortunately, somebody still has to be back in the office today.
Sure.
So there are people who are back who don't get to come down, and they try to rotate that from year to year, so it's not always the same people who have to be back. But the best thing for us is a lot of time we're like silos. We work in different divisions, and we know the people that we immediately work with and the clients we immediately work with, but we don't necessarily know the people who work on a different floor.
Right.
And this brings everybody together, regardless of what they do in the company,
right,
or when they do it, or where they do it, brings them all together.
Sure.
And so it's like a party in a sense, because Everybody gets to get to know people on an informal basis.
Right. And something like golf, you're still by yourself out there.
Exactly.
You're outdoors, yes, and you're doing something, but
Right.
there's too many. Marissa was saying there's too many golf tournaments.
That's what appealed to us. Everybody does a golf tournament. I
Right.
mean, every Monday there's usually a golf tournament going on. And sometimes we're sponsors of one every Monday, and there's sometimes two going on in the same every Monday.
Not to belittle golf, because that's
no,
great
golf
too.
is good. It's
Yeah.
a great activity, but we didn't want to do one more of the same thing.
Sure.
So 24 years ago, not many people were doing this, and still not many people are. So we're doing it now, and we love it.
Yes. And with sailing, everyone can get on a boat together, and they can learn something
They're
that maybe
learning
none of them
something new.
knew
They're
before.
learning it as a team sport, and we are at work. We are a team sport all the time. We're always doing things as teams, not as individuals. So this is the classic example.
Perfect
how
metaphor.
A team can do something together that they couldn't do as well by themselves.
Yes, that is for
So
sure.
we love it. And we love weather like this. We've had one hurricane in 24 years.
Oh.
Fortunately, it's not today.
Fortunately, not here. At
Not
least
here,
there
thank
isn't a
goodness.
hurricane. We're coming up to our third race here, and RCM&D has people sprinkled all across these boats.
We do, and that means that we win regardless of who wins.
That's true. Good point. And do you do any sailing?
I've been on these boats a couple of times in years past, and I did win a race once. So
You did?
I love doing that.
Oh, yeah. That's
And
a good feeling,
I was
right?
with Eileen Roberts, the person who founded this. Her husband Bill was also a sailor, and Bill and I were on the same boat, and he wasn't allowed to coach me during the race, but he was allowed to coach me while we were preparing, and he was a really good coach.
Oh, yes. But that makes the difference in anything. You're learning
Right.
algebra. You want a good teacher. You're learning sailing. You want a good coach.
So I paid attention to what he told me, and we won a race, so it worked out great. That happened in year 2. They thought it'd be helpful if I won a race in year 2, because I would think it would be a good idea to do this every year.
Right.
So it worked out that way. We're
That
still
is
doing
great.
it 24 years later.
It is something to win a race amongst these 16 boats. It's some
competitive.
great competition out here, and the perfect weather for it.
Looks like they're
That was
getting
the
ready to start.
go. That was go. And you can see on the water where the water is a little bit darker, that means there's more wind over there. And currently, the boats that started at the other end, the far end from us, had the most breeze on that start. Jalapeno, who we watched have a very successful race last race, was the closest boat to that far end and is off to the races. They already have maybe a 2 or 3 boat lead.
This is very cool seeing a race from this angle.
Right, where we can powerboat amongst
Right.
them.
It's a great sailor's day. The wind is really good for this today.
Oh, it's just perfect. We were talking before about how we are encompassed by the city of Baltimore right here. So we're surrounded by buildings and factories and hotels, and it really makes the wind very interesting because it has to find its way through all those buildings before it hits these sails.
And doesn't Domino's Sugars look good today?
It
That building is
does.
striking, isn't it?
I love
I like that
sign.
backdrop.
Yes. Hole number 4, they got people hiking out. They know what's up. And the water taxi coming in here on their regular route, trying to find a way through the crowd. Oh, they're just going to park it and watch.
So one year we had an RCM&D sale out here, actual sale. I guess we need to get them a new one. I think it wore out or ripped.
Yes, these sales get a lot of attention. They get a lot of use. They teach so many people how to sail and get so many people out here. Baltimore is on the water, but a lot of people who live in the city, they may spend too much time indoors. Sailing and getting on the water is such a great way to escape all of that.
One of Downtown Sailing Center's objectives is to teach kids with disabilities.
Yes.
And they have those boats that don't float, that don't sink. They have a lot of extra flotation in them, and they're really fun too to watch those kids get involved in sailing, something they didn't think they could ever do.
Yes, the Downtown Sailing Center, they're right here in Baltimore's Inner Harbor. And their slogan is that it's where sailing is for everyone. They provide quality education and life-enriching programs that promote self-esteem and teamwork through this joy of sailing. The Downtown Sailing Center is committed to promoting an environment of inclusiveness and accessibility, just as you were saying, especially to youth and persons with disabilities and those with limited opportunity. Not only are they our host today, but they're each team's guide out there on the water. They've been teaching people how to tack, how to jibe safely, how to get around the course, the rules of the road, your port starboard, your windward leeward. And the team that takes all of those lessons to heart will come out on top.
They're lined up to go around this mark.
Oh, yes, they are. And they are all getting here at the same time. Hull number 9, Coco J. Their downtown sailing rep is right on the stern of the boat, the back of the boat with the red life jacket. Calling the shots, that's Prague. On board he has Melissa Havenick, David Roos, Bill Griggs, and Charles Cummings. Melissa's from Hanover, as is Ross. David Roos, my bad. And from PNC, Bill Griggs and Charles Cummings. Hull number 14 is struggling to get around that top mark. They might just be deciding to skip it. Or are they going to do a circle and try it again? Hull number 11 and 12 rounding at the exact same time. These are different boats out here. We have J22s and sonars. They all start together, and it's completely easy to see why. They're all very evenly matched.
We have some competitive sailors out there. Some of them who came in second last year were convinced they were going to come in first this year because they had the experience of coming in second last year.
Right.
But there are a lot of variables in sailing, so we know that that's not always predictable.
That is something that is very true about this sport. So many variables go into making a successful race. You have to know about the wind, you have to know about the boat, you have to know about each other. Great metaphor for life, right?
Absolutely.
Bow number 5 is OJ. Who comes up with these names? I don't even know. But I love them. I love these names. Their Downtown Sailing Center rep, Donna Colaco. She has been with the Downtown Sailing Center for many, many years. And she's a fantastic coach, from what I hear. On board from Key Risk, she has Mark Aronson and Jackie Byers. And from Chesapeake Employers, Ben Cooper. And directly in front of them is hull number 6. This boat's called Joey. Tasman Prater is from the Downtown Sailing Center. Tasman Prater. He's riding on the back, hanging onto the backstay, keeping an eye out on things, letting his newbies do everything all on their own. He has 3 crew from Liberty Mutual: Cliff Crosby, Grace Jividen, John Thomas, and from Hartford Mutual, Charmaine Hess.
On your left, Dave. Go left, Dave.
A nice puff bringing in the rest of the fleet into the finish line. Hull number 12. Aboard, they have our other beneficiary on the right side of your screen. Just crossing at the pin. Meg Ducey, Jeff Griffin, Chris Schaefer, and Allison Schaefer, all from the Franciscan Center, with Dylan Jakovic from the Downtown Sailing Center. The Franciscan Center is a ministry of the Sisters for St. Francis of Assisi. Founded in 1968, the center provides emergency assistance and supportive outreach to those who are economically disadvantaged in an effort to assist them in realizing their self-worth and dignity as people of God. They do this by their empowerment, their food and responsive services. They feed anywhere between 400 and 600 people every day. They help clothe people with programs like Attire for Hire, where they rent or they give out, a suit. If you need to go to a wedding or you need to go to an interview, they have professional attire for you. And they provide access to phones, the internet, and computer skills. They help with financial knowledge and resume building. You can even have a mailbox there and receive your mail. On top of that, they assist with things like prescriptions and transportation, paying your utility bills, obtaining birth certificates and IDs. That's a big thing. Getting certified and getting your ID and getting everything in writing in tangible form is very important to a lot of people. They also help prevent evictions, and they screen for several health issues. They really just want to see people become self-sustaining.
Unless you have somebody else you want to bring up. I'll stay, yeah.
All right, so racing has been planned to take course over an hour and a half, and we are approaching 2:30, which means we might only have time for one more race. So we are going to check in with the race committee to see who is leading in the scores. Race committee, this is the film boat.
Go for race committee.
We were wondering if you could give us some scores so we can know who might win this thing.
Stand by on 7-1.
So what is next on the calendar for RCM&D?
Gosh, we're going to recover from this event and start planning for next year's.
2018 happens
2018 is going to come
soon.
fast.
It'll happen before you know it.
Before the end of this year, before December, we will be organizing for that because it'll be our 25th, and we want to make it really big.
Yes.
So we're very excited about that. We're excited about today, but we're also excited about planning for next year's.
That is great. And as you were saying, this isn't the only thing that you do. You do so much throughout the year.
Well, one of the things that our people do is we go down to these places that we're sponsoring and take part, like at Franciscan Center as an example. We send teams down there as volunteers, And again, it's an opportunity for people to get together who don't normally work together.
Sure.
So they get to know one another and work together as a team to help somebody else out. So we do that throughout the year.
And I read that you set up actual mock interviews and helped them work on their skills with their resumes and talking to potential employers.
It's for whatever the organization specializes in. We're adapting to what they need and trying to provide volunteers who can do that sort of thing. I mean, we have people who are great school teachers. That's not their profession, but they're great teachers, and so they can do that sort of thing. Counselors, be mentors, as well as man a food line if that's what they need to do or want to do.
Right.
Committee, can you guys switch over to 6-9?
Switching to 6-9. Howdy, film crew here.
So I'm looking at it. It looks like there's only 2 boats that have a chance to win the whole thing, and that is boat blue number 1 and number 10. Over.
Okay, great. Do you have a point spread between them by any chance?
Sadly, I don't do that. I don't often do race committee, so I don't know how close it is. So I can give you their standings in each race if you want to calculate it.
That would be fantastic.
Okay, so first place in the first race was boat number 10, and then second place was blue number 1. In the second race, they switched. So then blue number got first place, and then in the third race, blue got second, and then number 10 got fourth. So yeah.
Okay, yes, that is very helpful, and they're definitely the top 2 to be looking at, right?
Yes, definitely. The rest is kind of spread, so everybody kind of in different spots throughout. Over.
And how's the regatta going from your end? You're on live.
Awesome. It's a beautiful day, like I said. I think there's a lot of people jealous that are watching from around Baltimore City and all their offices, really wishing they were out with us. Over.
Yes, I'm glad to be one of the boats out here watching this amazing event. Thank you so much for everything you're doing out here, Race Committee. This wouldn't be happening without you.
Thank you so much. Switching back to 7-1.
Great. Those girls work for you?
I'm not sure who that was on the other end of the line. I think they probably do.
Yes.
I think all of the committee members are my colleagues.
Yes. All right, so boat number 1, blue 1, that's a sonar, and J22 number 10. Let's look up who they are.
Quick switch over for the final race. Number 10 actually got coached.
Can you repeat what happened?
In the race we just had, boat number 10 got first.
Okay, so it's been 10-1, then 1-10, then 10-1.
Pretty much. Over.
That's exciting. Thank you very much.
No dyslexia there.
So that is really close. Boat number 10 goes into the 4th race with 1 + 2 + 1, 4 points. And sonar number 1, hull number 1, goes into the last race with 2 points plus 2 points, 5 points. There's only 1 point between them. The final race will determine the winner, and we are 30 seconds away from the sequence beginning. It is a 3-minute sequence. So instead of ready, set, go, like you might be used to if you were watching a track meet, ready, set, go only has, about a 3-second spread. They need a little bit more time to position their boats where they want them on the line, so they give everyone 3 minutes. In other races and regattas around the country, sometimes they get 5, sometimes even 10 minutes to get their boat where they want it to be on the starting line. And here, today, the start has been making all the difference. The boat that gets off the starting line first in the breeze is doing the best. Those booping sounds are the ollie system starting the 3-minute sequence. Some boats are choosing to stay in one position on the line and just go for it at the last second. Others are sailing back and forth between these two marks. One thing that does is help you time the line so that you can always be really close to the starting line with speed and time your time and distance to get to the correct buoy at the right time, that right instant at go. And for those downtown sailing center coaches that are standing up in their boats, they have a good view of the race course and where that first puff is going to be. They're looking for that dark water because that is where the wind is. It's like the gas pedal. Their sails catch that wind, and that's what accelerates them through the very crucial first moments of a race. The first 30 seconds of a race are really the most important. So finding that first puff is just what it's going to take to win this last race. Two minutes to go. The one good thing about a 3-minute system is that there are lots of horns. You always know what time it is. You can also have it on your watch, but it's great to have that short system to always know what the countdown is. And judging by the fact that all of the boats are at that far mark, they're all going to start down there. They all want it. But they have to use the rules of sailing. They're port starboard, they're windward leeward to avoid each other. Starboard boats have right of way over port. So those boats with wind coming over the right side of their boat have precedent, have preference. One minute to go. In 1 minute, the amount that maybe the average human can do a plank, we're going to have the last final start of the RCM&D Regatta, race number 4. And going into this race, Blue won with Mike McNamara of the Downtown Sailing Center keeping everyone in line. And hull number 10, Jazz, Robert Daniel with his crew from Zurich, go into the race separated by only 1 point. And where are they on the starting line? Boat number 1 is down here at the pin getting shadowed by hull number 5. They are a 3rd row start here. This could be interesting if they want to try to win this whole regatta. And that is go. Sonar number 5 and J22 number 5. Great starts down here at the pin end. Hull number 10 didn't have their best start either. They are in the middle of the course right now. But the boat that can take these puffs the best, you got to ease, hike, trim. When that dark water gets to you, you ease the sails, you keep the boat flat, and you accelerate right through it instead of getting rounded up and putting that leeward rail in the water. Boat number 5 had to tack for room. There was a dock system over here, so everyone's going to have to tack to give way. The breeze is really picked up here. It's keeping the fleet nice and tight. We don't have that one boat leaving everyone in the dust like the other races. Now, it may seem a little scary to somebody who hasn't been sailing a lot to want to put your body out over that top edge to keep the boat flat. But the boats that are doing that are doing the best. They keep their speed. Directly here in the foreground, coming in on the right side of your screen, is one of our contenders for taking this entire regatta. They were third row start off the starting line, but they managed to make it over that floating dock and bite into this left side of the course. In all of the other races, the coach has let everyone on the boat do their job. In this race, he's taken over the main sheet. Side as stated in the rules. Ready at the helm to turn down. Main is going out. Congratulations, guys. This was a tough fleet, and some tough racing, they came out on top. I think that they have those beneficiaries again are Believe in Tomorrow, Children's Foundation, Some Kids and Tutoring,
and the Franciscan Center, a ministry of the Sisters of St. Francis of Assisi. In total, RCM&D, the outreach program, they've reached 50 nonprofits from all over the Mid-Atlantic region, and adding this money to their total, they've raised almost $1 million for boats all over the Mid-Atlantic, a lot of them local right here to Baltimore. 100% of the money raised today gets split evenly amongst those 4 beneficiaries. Well, thank you so much for joining us on board, Skip, and for helping us commentate the 3rd and 4th races.
Thanks for having me out here. It's been beautiful. I hope everybody watching wants to be out here next year.
Oh, it's got to be an easy decision to want to be here every day. Come down to the sailing center, join the downtown sailing center, and become one of these coaches, become one of these sailors.
Hold that.
Lay back.
could you introduce yourself and your connection to this day?
Hi, Regina.